Hey team, Coach Blake here. I'm just going to be talking about Wednesday's workout, which is a 21-minute run for max distance. You don't need to go fast, you don't need to go slow. It's whatever pace you either enjoy or hate least. This is coming from someone who really enjoys running, but I definitely think that if you run with a friend or if you try to do some intervals within your run, it's going to make it a little bit more enjoyable. So if you find a friend who maybe runs a little bit faster than you and try to keep pace with them or just have a conversation with them, a lot of times whenever you're running, you completely forget that you're hating your life. And it makes it a lot easier to complete the workout. So that's one thing I recommend. Another one would be switching it up with some intervals. So maybe doing 2 minutes slow, 1 minute fast, or 6 minutes slow, 1 minute fast. Just whatever gets you through the workout and makes it a little bit more enjoyable. Something maybe to help push you through and get a little bit more distance under your belt while you're doing the run. I just think that will be pretty effective. We're going to go over a couple key points, and then I'll show a couple stretches at the end that I recommend, and then we'll be good to go. So for the warm-up, Jason posted a video on Beyond the Whiteboard, a guy named Chris, and it really warms up the whole body. So I recommend doing that. A lot of times I will walk about a 1/10 to a 1/4 mile before I start a run, just depending on how I'm feeling and the time that I have to get the run in. So definitely recommend walking too, just getting that heart rate started to go, and then maybe you speed walk a little bit and then you start your run and your time on your watch or whatever the case may be. So a couple key points when you're running. I'm going to actually go ahead and start with the upper body. We want those hands to stay relaxed, and we want the shoulders to be down away from the ears. We don't want our shoulders to be up here when we're running. That's putting a lot of extra strain on the upper body that we don't need. We're just trying to get our heart rate up. So we want to keep those shoulders down. I always imagine pinching a potato chip or something of that same thickness between my fingers, usually my first pincher fingers here. And my arms just come straight forward and back. You don't want your arms to kick out. Again, that's just creating a lot of tension and resistance against the wind and your forward motion that you don't need. And so keeping those arms close to the body and just really relax is going to be your friend. Try again with keeping your hands relaxed. Try not to clench your fists either. That's a lot of extra strain on the forearm that we just don't need. So now moving into the hips, we really want short, bouncy steps, and that's because we want to keep our hip flexors nice and short. Nice and long. I said this every time I've recorded this video. How funny. We want to keep it long. So we're taking a little bit of pressure off of the hips, focusing mostly on the feet and the lower, and we're just not putting extra strain on the hip flexors. So that's what I recommend for the hips, short bouncy steps. On Beyond the Whiteboard, there's also a great resource. If you click on Run, the video that they have for the demo is really biomechanically fascinating and correct. So please check that out, especially if running is something that you struggle with. And then the last thing is watching your feet and how they kick up. A lot of times we'll see people's feet kick up to the sides. I don't really know why, but it's something people do. Or they'll come in excessively. We really just want those feet to kick up straight behind, or maybe they're coming slightly in, but we really don't want them to be doing anything crazy that puts some extra strain on the knees that we just don't need. So another thing I forgot to mention with short bouncy steps, you want a light foot fall. If we're really coming down hard on the foot, whether it's on the heel or the toe or even the midfoot, really not comfortable. So if we're thinking of a bounce, we're just hitting the ground with about our middle foot, maybe a little bit more of our heel, and we're just rolling. So you just want to think of a really steady sort of feel, sort of run. For the stretching afterwards, I always do a figure 4 of some sort, whether I'm sitting or I'm laying down, whatever. I will also, a lot of times, do a deep squat, push those hips out, and we're just trying to get the hips nice and open. And the last thing that I do in a lot of my classes is I will come down into a lunge. I'll press the hip forward, locking it out. We want to get a nice deep stretch to the front of the leg, and then I'll lean back, The key here is to point your toe forward and in. So then you get a nice deep stretch up the front of the shin. I've definitely found that helpful after longer runs to alleviate some of that shin splint sort of pain. So have a great time today. Have a great time today and get out there and enjoy yourself.